Hi, I'm Justin Thames, Director of Governmental Affairs for the Florida Institute of CPAs, and welcome to this week's edition of Impact Report, your weekly update on all things impacting the CPA profession here in Tallahassee. So Saturday officially marked the last day of the legislative session. Mid-afternoon, the legislature finally passed the budget. $91.1 billion are headed to the governor for his final approval. Now, he's already said that more likely than not, it won't end up being $91 billion. He'll make some cuts to the budget. Now, not really sure what type of cuts he's going to make just yet, but we'll keep you posted on that and let you know what the final number is. Now, today we want to go through a couple of specific issues and give you a little bit more in-depth information on each one. First, we'll talk about a couple of the tax bills. If you remember last week, I mentioned the tax cut package was still back and forth between the House and the Senate. Finally, we reached an agreement, and we have a $121.5 million tax package that's going to be approved by the governor. It includes the hurricane relief for the Panhandle. It also includes a rate reduction for business rent tax from 5.7 to 5.5. And then finally, our typical sales tax holidays that we see every year, back to school and hurricane preparedness. Also talk to you about the CIT bill, what we call the piggyback bill every year. Mentioned that there's the decoupling from the GILTI provisions on the federal tax code. Also, there's an automatic rate reduction that's meant to minimize the increases to the base from the federal tax code as well. So that bill's most likely to be signed by the governor, as it normally is every year. And then finally, I wanted to mention, several of you mentioned to us about an update on where the Wayfair bill stands and whether or not the state was going to deal with remote sales this year. Unfortunately, that bill did not make it to the finish line. There was traction in the Senate by Senator Gruters. He was carrying the bill on the Senate side, but the House of Representatives really just wasn't supportive of incorporating some changes to the way that we treat remote sales in the state, looking at it as more of a tax increase as opposed to collecting a tax that's already due. So we anticipate that bill will be back next year in some form or fashion. The issue's not going away, as we all know. And so I think that Senator Gruters has made a commitment to continue to work that issue out. Now, on to another main issue that we talked about last week, I should say, related specifically to your CPA license. There were House Bill HB 977 and Senate Bill SB 1252, specifically related to Public Accountancy Act. And we talked about three provisions in that bill on Friday. And first is the reduction of A&A hours from 20 to 8. Now, that doesn't mean that reduces your overall 80 hours for renewal and licensure. What that does is it'll just shifts those hours, the rest of those 12 hours, into technical business. So now you only have 8 hours, and don't get too excited. The bill doesn't go in effect until July 1, but we'll be bringing you some more detailed information on exactly how that's going to impact you. We have a Board of Accountancy meeting coming up soon, so that'll be one of the main issues that we talk about with the Board of Accountancy as far as the implementation of that provision. Also in the bill, we had a cap of 120 hours for renewal from reactivation for those of you that have a license in inactive status. In the years past, depending on the number of years that you had been inactive, could dictate how many hours of CPE that you would have to take. Now it's just capped, and we hope that helps some of you that may have an inactive status put your license back on active and potentially get back to work. Then finally, we have incorporated the SSA standards into the practice of public accounting. Now that's going to be treated very similar to how the auditing, reviews, and compilations are as far as services that are provided. We made sure that it prohibits anybody that's a non-CPA from using those standards in any type of engagement. So those are the big issues that we wanted to bring to you today. And thank you again for all of your support. We appreciate your membership. And as always, if you have any questions for us, you can email us at govaffairs@ficpa.org. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.